Bo was stressing over there. Bo,
Yeah,
what's
go
going
ahead,
on?
bro.
I ain't stressing over a thing. I thought that was hilarious. If I'm being honest, to sit and hear men talk about mm, being raised by a masculine man and prerequisites, I'm like, y'all got it way wrong. But I thought that was hilarious. It's
Why was it funny?
because it's just it used to stress me out, right? But now I find it hilarious to hear people talk about things that have way too many variables, things that do not have hard lines. It is not a black and white thing. There is nothing rigid about the things that the topic that was just talked about, but I hear it talked about in such hard lines because being raised by a very masculine man, being raised by a very dominant, domineering man, would never allow me to take the things that a lot of these masculine men do because my father warned me against men like him. And I don't subscribe to this super masculine man because they're dictators. And my father always taught me never respect a man who doesn't respect you. And men love to lead with you must respect a man while also simultaneously not respecting their woman because respect goes both ways. Communication goes both ways. And so
Sound like projection.
beware of dating women who have been raised by masculine fathers.
Yeah, Bo, I
So,
think
so
that with all due respect, right? I don't know your father, but I would bet that my idea of a masculine man is not anything like your father is, right? Because a lot of people conflate the idea with like, oh, masculine is domineering, and he goes on tangents and he just tells everybody what to do.
Egregious.
Like, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh yeah, like, and then he just tells everybody what to do. That's not masculine to me. Like, to me, to be a leader, you're a servant, right? At the end of the day, everything that you do is for the people who follow you. Everything that you do. And I don't think that like to be masculine is like you crave responsibility. A masculine man craves responsibility. Like but also like for example with me, I take into consideration everything my woman says. I take into consideration how she thinks. I'll ask her, what do you think about this? But also, how do you feel about this? Because those two things are different things, right? I take into consideration everything and I prioritize how she feels. But at the end of the day, as a masculine man, I am the decision maker. But I think a lot of women have this idea of like, oh, masculine men, they just tell you what to do. They don't listen to what you got to say. No, that's not true. That's not how a
I'm
marriage
sorry.
should work.
I'm sorry, real dad. Are you trying to say she had the wrong perception of what masculinity was
I
whenever
think
you were
that she had
explaining it?
I think that she had a preconceived notion of what
Mm.
masculinity is, and it has something to do with like strength and power and things like that. I don't.
Dictatorship, those
Yeah,
words. Yeah, like
I think that's
I
kind of
just
how
know
she was
what I
feeling.
heard. That's all. I know. And so my version of masculinity is nothing like I've heard on these apps. But I am literally going off of what I hear men say out of their mouths every single day. I'm
what
talking
about
about
your man? What
what
have
do
you
you
y'all.
heard your man say?
what do you feel like the people who were just talking to you
I don't know what their
feel like
version
that?
of masculinity is. But see, here's the thing. Even when I'm on this panel, even with the men that have talked to me, and the men in the chats, every single time I describe what a man is to me or masculinity is to me, it's always some like beta or simp or somebody on the DL or some metro sex. And I'm just like, yeah, but
So
then when I describe the type of masculinity that I hear every
I
day,
think
y'all
I
like,
know which one you're
"Girl,
describing.
so
ho-
what
ho-
what is masculinity? Because I
so
obviously I
Steph
have
finna give you the
so
game.
Bo, check this out. Do you think that if every single person has a different idea of what masculinity is than you, do you think it's out of the realm of possibility that you might have the wrong idea of what masculinity is, or do you think everyone else is wrong?
I don't think that I have the wrong idea of masculinity, because that is my idea of masculinity. My idea of masculinity does not have to match anyone else's. And I'm okay with that. And no one else can tell me what I find masculine. You all have your ideas, and I'm okay with that. But what I'm doing, what I do when I speak, is I'm taking everything that I've heard a man say, because you all are the only ones that can tell me how men view masculinity. So I'm going off of what I've heard men say collectively. And if I have the wrong idea, I'm so sorry. That is how you all come off. And that is what I get out of what
Well, to be
you
fair,
say.
we've walked it down with you for a long time on what you thought was masculinity based off your selection, and you got it very wrong. In fact, you took his balls from between his leg and put them between yours in certain instances, and
I
became
can't do
the
that.
decision maker. It's a metaphor. I'm
No,
talking
no, no,
about
no, no. What I'm saying is, I can't take your job from you. I can't emasculate you. I can't take something that is inherently yours. If you are a man
Well, let
and
me try to
you
remind you.
are a decision maker, that's what you're going to be. I can't do anything.
Well, let me remind you. We had a conversation, and if you don't want to have it, I know it's part of your personal story. We can say, you know what, I don't want to talk about that. But I just want to make sure it's cool to bring up the situation about the house or leaving a condo, where that was me giving you an understanding of what masculinity was for a man. He wasn't able to showcase it because you insisted that, okay, I will. And you recall that, right?
I
Where I was
recall
saying,
that. I
where I was
didn't
saying,
I didn't do anything. I did what needed to be done.
but
And
that's the
if
problem. That's the point I'm making. What
I
needed to
know,
be
but see, that's
done
the
is
thing.
just as important.
That is why I think that it's a dictatorship, because you would rather I had sat up and looked dumb just to follow a man instead of making happen what needed to happen. Meanwhile, if that decision had not been made, I would not be sitting in the house with over 6 figures in equity in it. I did the thing that needed to be done, and it was a good decision. So I
I'm not
can't sit
arguing whether or not it was a good decision.
and sit on it.
I'm just simply trying to get you to see where we exposed that you selected based off your understanding of masculinity. You chose to marry a man and you had an idea of what masculinity was, and you got it wrong. We exposed
I'm
that he
okay with
was not masculine. And
that. That's
now
fine.
we're sitting here today trying to give you an understanding of masculinity. And you're conflating it with other things that you hear. Well, we surgically and meticulously walked it down using your own story where you didn't allow a man to activate himself. I get it. Everybody had a difference of opinion on that. But you as a woman, whenever it's time for a man to activate and show up as a man, you have to look the other way and shut up and be silent and let that man do his thing. That simple.
Bro,
I think that's where
I'm not gonna be
she's
dumb.
I think that's where the disconnect is, right? So you see how Real Dope kind of put that. He said the same thing you said, right? But you said shut up. When you do that, it's gonna fall on deaf ears. She ain't gonna try to hear nothing else. Everything else is like blah 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 blah, right? So, but what Real Dope said was he's a decision maker, but he considers what she says. That she
Bo
probably
made
could
a face to
digest.
that too,
She
though.
probably, huh?
Bo made a face to that too when he said it.
Uh, well,
It
I don't
don't
know. You
matter
tell
how.
me,
It
Bo. Do
don't
you think
matter.
you could digest that? And if that's the case, then she's gonna run into problems forever. I
Thank
can
you,
tell
Lady
you. If
Di.
she
It didn't
can't,
matter. It
if she
didn't matter
can't,
about my tone, did it?
if she can't
It don't
digest
matter.
the way he said it either, or even the way I'm going to articulate it, which is basically the man does assume authority, but he also has responsibility, meaning that he's going to make sure you're good. If he fails to do that, that's another thing, right? But masculine men, one of our main traits is to be problem solvers. We could be thrown into a messed up situation and fix
She
it.
don't like that. She don't like your tones, right?
If that seems, well, that's fine. I'm just explaining it the best way I could.
Let's put it. Let's make it. All right. Let's make it make sense. Lady Di, are you familiar with Bo's story?
I was going to ask what the story is because I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
I just heard.
So if I could kind of describe your story in a nutshell. All right, in a nutshell, because I want to ask you, what would you do in this situation? In a nutshell, her and her husband was offered her grandfather's home. He offered to sell it to him for an extremely discounted price. Well, her husband drug his feet on it, didn't pull the trigger until it was absolutely too late. Now the house done tripled in value, and now the father was like, "Well, I cannot justify selling y'all this house."
Don't say that's right. It wasn't too late.
It was. He drug his feet. It was literally too late. It
wasn't too late. They still had time.
No, they didn't. They had less than less than a month or so because the grandfather had to sell the house.
That's still time though.
Oh my God, you grasping at straws, bro.
No, but is that not time?
No, it's not. It's not.
It is time.
If you're talking about somebody having a month to leave, that's not enough time. Come on, bro. All right. So basically he drug his feet. And it got to the point where where the grandfather couldn't justify selling them the home at that cheap price. So he said they had to move. Well, she's so now the decision is now we need to find a house. The grandfather gave her her inheritance or something like that to buy spend on the new home. Well, the entire process, her husband wasn't involved in the process. He elected not to be involved in the process. Every time she would ask questions, try to get him involved, he was a little aloof about it, didn't really get involved in it. Well, so basically they had this month to leave, so she pulled the trigger on a home that she felt was best on them because they had to go. He was selling the house. So she bought the house, and then after the ink was dried, her husband began to complain about the home that they bought. He complained about the location, complained about what type of house it was, and she felt like that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in their marriage because he let her walk this journey alone the entire time and then when she pulled the trigger, then he had something to say about it. Am I kind of accurate on that, Bo? So my question to you is, same scenario.
Sound like she right.
What Bruiser recommended that she did was sit there and let him fail, and basically said let the grandfather, get him, activate him, or he has to activate himself to jump in and try to make this decision, even though he wasn't making a decision. She was supposed to give him the opportunity,
Yes.
and if it shit hit the fan, then it hit the fan. She was never supposed to jump in.
That's how men become men.
So all right.
Oh, go ahead. My bad. I ain't gonna give you the secret.
So I'm asking you, if the same scenario, are you sitting back and letting shit hit the fan, or are you gonna pull the trigger and do what needs to be done?
Okay, I had this similar question asked to me in my own personal space. Okay. What I understand a man is, because what y'all talking about is that Bo, right? She had to make the final decision because he didn't want to do it.
No, he said he was gonna do it. He just drug his feet. And Bo said, you know what? I can't sit here and wait on this dude. I'm gonna do it my damn self. I think she actually asked him, you want to do it? And I think he was like, I don't know. Or he was fidgety about it. But you can tell from his behavior that something in there wanted him to be the one to do it. But Bo was adamant that, look, it's okay. We're a team, whatever. You know the spiel.
So, all right. I have to answer it like if it was me, because I personally wouldn't do what Bo did, because you see how later, right? Now it's an issue. It's a problem later. I don't got time for issues. So either we gonna agree to this shit or we gonna wait, because I don't like problems. I'm just being real. So the man of the house, to me, needs to, but we figure it out. We figure it out together and we make a best decision together. Now, as far as him not moving fast enough, as I know what a man is, honestly, the same thing that Bruiser just said about men having to fail. I mean, they gonna have to fail to understand. To me, that's how I see it. That's what men do. They they have to learn the hard way if it's necessary. And then usually what happens is they learn that.
I think she
Oh damn,
froze.
she froze. So Bo, while she's froze, I just wanted to ask you this because we need a little bit of context. I don't want to keep digging in, but this would make sense to me. Yeah, pause. If there was a scenario where you had he made poor decisions that were of that magnitude or close before, has he failed and showed you that he sucked at decision making prior to that?
No. Actually.
Oh shit.
Mm.
Damn.
That makes it worse.
He was a good leader or a good partner before that?
I mean, things between us, we saw things fairly well together before. He didn't seem very like dragging his feet. Like he didn't seem like he was the type of person when we first, like when we got together, like when we were dating. Definitely, like he was definitely like a super take charge. When we first got married, he was still, take charge. We talk about things, we solve things together. And then when it came to that condo, just downhill from there.
Okay,
Well,
so
well,
Yeah, see,
well,
I
hey, if
think
I
I
could,
think it would have made sense. I think it would have made sense if he would have failed you before. Then I definitely could have rolled with you on that one. But being that he hasn't proven to be that type of dude, it's harder for me to get on the side of not letting him fail, because he probably wouldn't have if he was the type of man who made great decisions, like you said prior to that. Then he's already proven himself. It might have been a situation where he just really didn't want to do it for some reason. Because me personally, I wouldn't want to jump into it. This is just hypothetical. It could be completely off. But me personally, I wouldn't want to go into anybody else's house that was like, if we were going to do some family shit, I wouldn't want like her family for me to jump into something like that. I would have wanted to get my own shit. That's just me. But it could have been something that simple. It could have been a reason he didn't want to do it.
So no, that's completely understandable. I think that would be fair to say about the condo. Maybe he didn't want to stay there, and then that's fair. But then when we had the chance to get our own place free and clear, this is not my family's place. This is not a family property, nothing like that. And now, like money's no object. Go find something that you can afford, right? And then you drag your feet. I'm like, okay. So
it wasn't his money either, right? So it wasn't his money or decision. Like it's almost like an emasculation indirectly. But I will tell you this.